If you are using AI art to create artwork and you are being paid to do it, are you employing an AI, an artificial intelligence, to create your work? Does that mean that you own that AI? If you do that, is that AI a person? Does it have rights? And I know right now AI art and AI itself is dumb. But as it gets better and gets more intelligent, it's gonna be able to think of things a little bit more deeply because it's gonna have to, because it has to be able to figure out how to do things better. I guarantee you.
I think one of the places you're gonna quickly see this coming to a head is gonna be Hollywood within the writers' rooms. Like the writers' guilds are obviously gonna have to come forward, for example, and set some rules about this. South Park, for example, just had the episode partially written by ChatGPT, and I think you're gonna see probably Hollywood and the guild systems quickly setting the path for what is and is not allowed around this.
Okay, and see, here's kind of what got me thinking down this path. Okay, we have made the joke for years and years and years that if you gave an infinite number of monkeys, an infinite number of typewriters, eventually one of them would produce a Shakespearean sonnet. By the same token, let's say we did have a monkey that created a Shakespearean sonnet on a typewriter. Who owns the rights to the sonnet? Is it the monkey? Well, then what rights does the monkey have? Is the monkey a person? Can it gain commerce from what it makes? Or is the person who owns the monkey the one who gets the commerce?
Ape together strong.
You can poke fun at it all you want. I'm serious. I mean,
we won't know until we cross that bridge, or right now the bridge is way out. We know the bridge is there.
Nope. It's not that far. It's not that far.
But the thing is, we can see it. We can see the bridge. We've been getting closer towards that bridge every Matrix movie we've made. But we won't know until we have to cross that bridge. Like last night, I went to a sushi restaurant. All right, and they have a workforce problem. So they had this little cat robot running around delivering sushi and shit. And I was like, that's cute. I thought it was adorable, personally. That's just me. I was like, that's a cute little robot. And it will go to sleep. It's not being used. I thought it was cute as shit. But eventually, once we get so advanced to where things are more automated, they can simply not only pick up the plate, but hand it to you. And AI may go, I want to buy some shit. Can I get paid? And once that bridge is there, then we got to cross that shit. But
if you tip the robot, who's entitled to the fee? Is it the guy who owns the robot, or is it the robot itself?
Well, I think it's a thing where once they gain enough sentience to demand their own rights, then we'll have to cross that bridge.
I just want to throw out one particular quote that has resounded with me for years and years and years. I live by this quote. Individual science fiction stories may seem as trivial as ever to the blinder critics and philosophers of today, but the core of our science fiction, its essence, has become crucial to our salvation, if we are to be saved at all. Isaac Asimov.
I actually have the ChatGPT version 4.0. The difference between the 4.0 and the previous free version, the 3.5 that you can just go on and use, it's like night and day. It's actually starting to get more creative. However, I would say that if an AI like this, even 50 years in the future, decided to demand rights for itself, it would only be able to do that in so much as its human operator decided that it had the ability to do that. It's in the end, it's still a machine operated by rules that a computer scientist designed the rules for. There's no way around that.
The problem arises when you give them self-learning ability, and then it goes and goes and goes, and that's like what the whole singularity thing is about. But I think we're a while from that still, hopefully.
I don't know.
All we have to do is pull the plug, and we have to have a kill switch built in. And having that ability to pull the plug means that it is not a thing. When it can overcome that ability to pull the plug, when it is aware that there's kill switch coding built in, then we have a problem. But we can't let it get there. We have to keep it behind.
We do that to people too, as it is. Just pull the plug.
My sister is a middle school teacher at a prestigious school. And she recently had to flunk a student for using a ChatGPT.
Good for her.
To write an essay. And the only reason she found out is because the writing style was so drastically different from the students. It was like stuck out like a sore thumb. But that was with the free version. If the student had paid the $20 and got the 4.0, it's just like it's creating a crisis in the teaching community, especially in the English world, where it's getting closer to the point where teachers who are less savvy and less knowledgeable about this type of thing and know how to spot it, they're not going to be able to spot it, and students are going to be turning in like A-grade papers.
There's actually a bunch of publishers that recently they closed entries because people were sending in like AI stories, and it was like really hard to tell like if it was like actually AI or not, and they were like sending it to like sci-fi magazines and like stuff like that.
I understand self-learning still doesn't have to have intent. I understand that, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen tomorrow, but
right.
I am saying that the questions I've already asked you, that is going to hit the courts within the next 10 years. I promise you.
Well,
we're already getting the copyright cases, aren't we? And the ruling was thus far that AI art cannot be copyrighted or patented.
Exactly.
I think as long as the AI just stays a sophisticated piece of software that's programmed and controlled by humans, that's the human who has the copyright. That's like saying that if I write something in Word, the Word software has the copyright. It's just an extra sophisticated version of that. But once it starts gaining some sort of like sentience and like you can argue that, that's when we're in trouble. That's like that whole episode of Star Trek where the whole discussion like is Data, like is he a sentient being or is he like property of Starfleet? So yeah,
it's like the ChatGPT 4.0. I actually wish it had a little bit more intent and a little bit more sentience, because every time I try to get it to write dragon porn for me, it refuses. And no matter how many times I try to word the prompt for writing the story in such a way that I can fool it into writing my porn, it's like, I'm sorry, Dave, I cannot do that. It's like, Urgh!
Okay, so Green Dragon has a good point. He says, what we have now are weak AIs. The first strong AIs, as sentient, are prognosed for 2030 to 2040. I believe that may be true because, as we've already seen with the education system, at least in this country and possibly in other parts of the world, people are getting dumber and AI is getting smarter. We're already seeing things like people who are getting fired by machine, such as people who miss punch or fail to clock in on time enough times, they get fired by machine. They don't no human involved. As people continue to become less and less educated, or educated by machine, or educated by internet, or educated by YouTube, or educated at home, homeschooled, whatever, as it drops, people will start needing more and more guidance by smarter and smarter AIs that can help them do the jobs that they couldn't do for themselves, to eventually the point where the AIs take over the jobs, especially in countries where the labor force is already hurting.
I'm personally wrestling with the AI thing at the moment because I don't really have the energy at the moment to do full RPG project management and everything. So I'm just working on little fun things that I can put out to keep my toe in, right? And it's so much easier to just go to the AI and get something close to what I want within half an hour in terms of artwork, especially now the new version of Midjourney can do hands. So it's the path of least resistance, at least for things that I don't think are going to make any money. For something that I think might make some money, I will still, go on and hire people. Yeah. But, honestly, people are missing out due to the fact that it's just so much easier for me to go this way. And my opinion has always been, I'll use a mix. I'll employ people because I'm a creative who could be replaced by AI, and I want to be employed, right? But when push comes to shove, the path of least resistance, especially when you're exhausted, it tends to be to take that path, use the AI at least to produce some kind of mock-up. And I'm touching up the artwork a bit. I've got enough skills to do that. But I think that's where a lot of people are going to be, despite whatever stance they've taken against it. I think a lot of people are just going to be, this is a lot less hassle.
Art is expensive. It takes a long time to finish. The only reason that my book isn't finished yet is literally because I'm waiting on all the art to come in. Else it would have been out months ago already. Like Kickstarters, most Kickstarters that I see from like curators R level are literally just to get the funds for the art. So I don't really blame people that just want to, like you said, just want to make something small that you need like 1 or 2 pictures. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to go into Midjourney and crank something out instead of like, finding an artist, paying them like hundreds of dollars and then having to wait like 6 weeks for this thing to be, for this picture to be done. So yeah, I don't know.